Country after country have been engaging in some sort of stimulus package. So I asked the question, has OPEC begun QE4? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Let's look at this out of market watch. Welcome to the new era of QE4. Now, I'm not talking here about QE as in the Federal Reserve, but take a look at what Market Watch has to say. As if on cue, OPEC stepped in just as monetary policy, at least the Fed's, has dried up. And that's right, we saw the Bank of Japan step up their monetary policy right around that time, and we saw the ECB talking about how they wanted to do the same, all coming at a time when QE was ending, because of course that QE doesn't just go to the one country that it's in, it gets spread all over the world. It's some sort of very unusual scheme. So further down they said, it's hard to imagine a more wide-reaching and effective stimulus measure than to lower the cost of gas at the pump for everyone globally. That's right, because what they're suggesting is that if people are paying less for gas, they're going to have more disposable income, so they're going to buy other goods. And that is true in one degree, but let's look at what happened back a few years ago. The price of gasoline, the price of oil was down, and yet the economy was in a very, very bad situation, and would have been even worse if they didn't print approximately $29 trillion, keep almost all of it off the balance sheet, off the books, and hide it from the governments around the world, because of course the central banks operate without the government's consent. So I just wanted to note here that while this could be a boost to the actual individual, the citizen, there is much, much more going on right here. And let's take a look at some of these other things that we have to deal with right now. Out of Reuters, 3 for the price of 2 used to be the most common special offer in this Italian area here. And basically why he's saying, it's not really going good. The economy is failing. He said people aren't stocking up because they know prices will be lower in a month's time. Shoppers are demanding steeper and steeper discounts, and also saying this, that they have wage freezes right now, and essentially they're worried about the future. This is what happens when you have deflationary pressures, and also works in a way with the inflation as well. They know that things are changing so drastically, so they do not want to invest. They do not want to basically have to buy certain things, knowing that it's going to be worth less tomorrow. It's a very interesting scenario here. We see this in a lot of developing nations, and right here in this example we're seeing it in Italy. So let's go in right here. Right out of this Italian newspaper, it is saying fully 70% of the new jobs in Italy in the third quarter of this year were filled by temporary contracts. They're doing the exact same thing here as they do in the United States, where they actually skew the numbers of the employment statistics to show you that everything is fine and everything is just rosy, but really it's temporary jobs, and they're also part-time work that's getting these jobs too. So that these numbers are fake and phony. So the actual conditions are even worse than they're suggesting. So let's get on with this right here, and I want to note the serious possible side effects of government control. Cash-strapped Cuba says toilet paper is running short. This is out of Reuters, and essentially what I'm trying to get to with this is that they have such a bad scenario right here that even the essential things like toilet paper are running short. This is what happens when you have a government that has ultimate control. They cannot address the concerns of the citizen. They are incapable of doing so, and it is very evident right here in Cuba today. Now, in my book, I talked about the reserve currency of the world. And essentially, at one point, we had the Bretton Woods contract. In Bretton Woods, they had the U.S. dollar being the reserve currency of the world. Part of the reason that the U.S. dollar was chosen was that the abundance of gold was flowing into the U.S. from other countries as payment. So you had a lot of gold flowing into the country after World War II, and this made the U.S. very strong. They had a very large manufacturing base at this point, and money was flowing in, and money in the form of gold, of course, from all these European nations and others. But now things have changed. Of course, the gold has most likely been leased out elsewhere, and they don't have that anymore. Now, gold is changing hands right now today. A lot of people, or a lot of other countries, are pulling that gold out of the US's hands, and one of those is Germany here. Let's take a look at this first. This is the Dutch National Bank, and it said this: they adjusted its gold stock location policy and shipped gold from the United States to the Netherlands to spread its gold stock in a more balanced way. Of course, the way they suggested, try to make it all political here, and the Netherlands being one of those countries, and as I mentioned just a minute ago, right here, Germany, Dutch Bank is their new storage plan for Germany's gold reserves 2020. They want to store half of Germany's gold in its vaults in Germany, and they know what's going on here. They know that the US has leased out all their gold, and they're doing it very slowly, and they're trying to get all of their gold back. Now, the reason I mention this is because the tensions are increasing globally. We know what's going on right here. We can see that countries, although in partnership, are finding their ties in between each other frayed, and this is a big concern. We see what they call the New World Order forming, and the U.S. position seems to be weakening, but we can see supranational entities increasing in strength. We're seeing coalitions forming and what they call the international community, to quote Leon Panetta and others. But essentially, we have a big disaster headed right for us in the future because of all of these things that I'm talking about today. I hope that you found it informative. Just a quick review of many things that are going on in today's world right now. And of course, please give me a thumbs up if you did find it informative. And don't forget to become an insider. The Insiders is where I give out all my best intel for free, and that is available at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.